Last time on Gundam Build Divers.
俺がもっとしっかりしていれば、俺があの時ガンプラを渡したりしなければ。
金もガンプラも不要だ。その代わり俺の手足となって働け。この欺瞞と嘘に満ちた世界をぶっ壊す。
ぶっ壊す。
ああ、めちゃくちゃにしてやるよ。
While the brake decals are still a cheating device, it turns out the real purpose was to destroy GBN with all the glitches. Giving players an unfair advantage was just to get more people to use more brake decals. Riku has a knife, but he doesn't use it because that's not the type of anime this is. Think less confrontation, more conversation.
GBN は真剣なガンプラバトルの世界じゃないか。
マジで馬鹿げた世界だな。
熱くてワクワクして、
しらけてうんざりして、
人の心が通い合う。
偽りの世界さ。
You could replace GBN with anything. It's still somebody defending their fandom from criticism, but then the conversation shifts to
一刻も早くぶっ壊さないと。お前みたいなアマちゃんが分かったような顔してたむろってる。こんなままごと遊びの GBN も。
どうして泣いてるの?
That just makes him angrier, but thankfully the grown-ups are here, so Tiger leaps into action, revealing the villain's true identity. The villain's name is Shiba, as in the Shiba Inu dog breed. Shiba's actually using a guest account to hide his identity, which is why he looks like a Haro that doesn't have little Shiba Inu dog ears. But it doesn't matter because Shiba gets away and calls out his Gunpla, which thankfully is not the friendship Gunpla, that would have been silly. No, Shiba's Gunpla is a big Zom. Like a really big Zom. Fortunately, Kyoya's here to explain just how big it is. Unfortunately, this is the worst line in the episode. Kyoya was fighting a normal-sized Gunpla. The one with the big arms was on the outside fighting Tiger and Shafrei. I don't care about tiny animation errors or little inconsistencies that don't affect the story, but this was the last episode! The only thing better than this being an intentional Gurren Lagann reference is if somebody actually snuck this into the episode. Yes, even though the mass divers knew using brake decals was wrong, now Shiba has taken control of their Gunpla. So now they're victims and we should feel bad for them. All these mass divers are also amplifying all the glitches, which threaten to destroy GBN. There are obvious tech solutions to this problem that the show doesn't address because future fantasy anime. And there's probably reasons you could come up with why those solutions wouldn't work. They can't shut down the server because it's corrupted or something. Because the point of this conflict is we have to stop the virus by defeating Big Zom. This is similar to what happened with the Big Zom in original Gundam. It's protected from energy weapons by its force field, but you can fly through the force field and attack it at close range. Unfortunately, this doesn't work, and Rommel ends up getting crushed by Big Zom's flying exploding toenails. Kyoya doesn't fare any better, but Rommel actually survives being crushed and exploded. Things are looking bad, so Kyoya offers a few words of encouragement, Riku vows to protect GBN, which leads to... All the lessons learned, all the character growth has finally led to this. Riku can now use Transam. I would have actually been disappointed if that had worked, considering Kyoya's Gunpla is supposed to be more powerful, and his sword broke, but this attack wasn't about Riku succeeding, it was about Riku's determination inspiring everybody else, and now everyone's working together, so Riku's Gunpla sprouts magic McGuffin wings. Riku is able to use this newfound magical power to wipe away all the break decals and heal GBN because there is no real explanation given. Sarah's powers could be the explanation even though she seems as surprised as everybody else, but the way it's presented in this episode, and they could have done a lot more with this episode, it seems like Riku, being the main character, has successfully saved the day by pulling a solution out of his shoulders.
突入部隊が資源衛星内に侵入してからの経過時間は T+13!
This scene is from the beginning of the episode, and using that 13 minutes as a base, I'm gonna calculate that this 3-part story takes place over between 20 to 30 minutes. Why is this important? Tiger and Joffrey are doing their finishing moves again. I know it's only once per episode, and I know this is stock footage to save money, but we have other characters with other moves, and Joffrey even has a different attack he could be using. It just seems like they're dumping these special moves into the episode because everyone's gotta do their special move every episode.
切り裂け天空の刃 EX サイバー
This is how you hold off a finishing move for it to have the most impact on the story. And this also works as an explanation for why Kyoya wasn't using his funnels for this entire fight, because if one of those gets damaged, he can't use his finishing move. Big Zom is still standing, so it's up to Riku to save the day! By crashing into Big Zom in a finishing move that happens off-screen. It probably looked a little something like this. Does this look like a terrible representation? Of course it does. Did I throw this together in about 10 minutes using free image editing software? Yes, I did. I understand you gotta give the main character the finishing move, but that just seemed lazy to just have this cut to explosion because we're tired of animating fight scenes. Let's just get it over with. This episode serves as a functional conclusion to a 3-part story culminating in the main character, the hero of the story, overcoming adversity and through the power of friendship inspiring everybody to save the day. And it works because that's probably the best word to describe a lot of what happens in this story. Shiba was in Ayame's backstory not to test out the brake decals or try to corrupt Ayame's force and turn it into what would eventually become the Mass Divers. No, Shiba's here because he's the villain and we need to show Ayame's being coerced into working for the Mass Divers. Riku's Gunpla is able to sprout magic McGuffin wings, which he uses to save the day because everybody believed in him, everybody wanted to save GBN, and he's the main character, so no further explanation needed. I like to think that Riku has spent so much time dealing with all these glitches, fighting all these Mass Divers who have different versions of brake decals, that his GBN account has built up an immunity. The stock 00 has an ability called Transam Burst, which among other things has healing properties, and looks quite similar to the magic McGuffin wings. If all this is true, GBN was saved by Riku, a total noob in the beginning of the show, who was willing to stick with it, put in the effort, and eventually be in the right place at the right time with the right Gunpla in order to save GBN. It sure would be nice if the episode had more evidence of this, but that's my interpretation.
これで GBN からブレイクデカールはなくなる
Normally, I don't count the teasers for the next episode in my reviews, but they took a good mystery of did defeating Shiba get rid of all the brake decals and ruin it? The teaser is also what explains that Shiba used to play GPD, which adds so much more significance to this line.
そう思うのはお前がブレイクデカールなんてインチキばっかりに一生懸命で本当のガンプラバトルをしたことがないから
Now Shiba's reaction is a bit more understandable. He feels insulted when Riku tells him you've never had a real Gunpla battle. Technically, Shiba's backstory was hinted at in episode 6, but Shiba was in Ayame's backstory, so there was a perfect opportunity to revisit that subject. This episode had some decent character moments. Kyoya's lieutenants, for example, had their time to shine when they saved the main characters, and we have this scene where Laserbeak is symbolically destroyed as Big Zom launches. But aside from that, this is, like I said, a functional conclusion to the story. This is the Hypervisor, signing off.